There's a truth about addiction that most people are unaware of, a secret that can set you free if you let go. But you'll only discover it by going all the way. Don't look away, because missing it could mean being trapped forever. You probably don't realize how much your life is marked by invisible battles. Addiction goes far beyond tobacco, alcohol, food, or excessive late-night phone use. It's an age-old inner war, a battle between our desires and our true needs, between comfort and courage, between our shadow self and our deepest being. Carl Jung didn't see addiction as a weakness, but as a symptom, a message from the soul. People are prepared to do anything, even the most absurd things, to avoid confronting their own soul, he wrote. It's neither laziness nor a lack of willpower that holds you captive. It's the fear of confronting your true nature in the darkness. Imagine yourself alone in your room. The world is asleep. You feel a shiver, a silent pull towards something that promises to soothe your pain. You know it won't last, but for a fleeting moment, you simply crave that relief. You light a cigarette. You open the app. You pour yourself a drink. You escape for a moment, hoping to forget what you're trying so hard not to feel. But after the euphoria comes the fall, the shame, the silent promise never to do it again. The question, why do I keep going even knowing how it ends? Most people perceive desires as enemies, monsters to be vanquished or concealed. But Jung's philosophy changes everything. He believed that every impulse, every compulsion is a messenger, a part of our mind trying to reveal a truth our conscious mind refuses to hear. Think about it. If you were completely content, totally whole, what would you need to numb yourself? What would you need to escape? Desires are the language of the soul's suffering. Addiction isn't just about substances or habits. It's about a void in your life. It's not a power struggle, but a search for meaning. That's why so many people fail. They focus on discipline, but never ask themselves, what is this craving trying to tell me? What part of myself have I buried deep inside, hoping it will disappear? In Jung's psychology, the shadow represents everything you've rejected, everything you've denied, everything you're ashamed to admit even to yourself. The more you try to hide your shadow, the bigger it grows. Addiction is its favorite disguise. It presents itself as comfort, but feeds on your silence. You think, I just want to relax. I just want to feel good. I just want to stop thinking for a moment. But deep inside, the shadow whispers, you're not good enough. You're alone. You'll never change. Every addiction is a mask that conceals suffering. Most people spend their lives adjusting this mask, without realizing that true transformation only begins when we dare to look beyond appearances. We live in a culture obsessed with self-control. All you have to do is say no. You have to be strong. But if that worked, you wouldn't be here. Jung would say, one cannot overcome the shadow by force. It only transforms with attention. Imagine trying to push a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more it resists. That's how most people live, by repressing, denying, fighting. Eventually, the beach ball rises to the surface, stronger than before. You can't resist forever. Desire always returns. The real question isn't how to suppress it, but how to understand it. That's where everything changes. The next time you feel that urge, don't run away, don't fight it. Simply observe it. Pause and ask yourself, what am I really seeking right now? Comfort? Distraction? Love? This is the beginning of self-mastery, observing the desire without giving in to it. Perhaps you notice a recurring story in your mind. Perhaps it's fear, loneliness, or the feeling of missing out. Perhaps it's a voice whispering that you'll never be free. But by becoming aware of this thought, you create an opening, a space where you can choose. Most people never go that far. They're too busy, too insensitive, too afraid. They prefer to remain ignorant rather than risk seeing what lies hidden there. But the journey is already over, for curiosity is the first act of rebellion against the power of addiction. Jung believed that every addiction, every shadow is an invitation. If you listen closely, your desire asks you, what have you refused to feel? What part of you needs to be heard, healed, or welcomed with open arms? Healing does not begin with a declaration of war against oneself. Start by reconciling with your own wounds, your own aspirations, your own forgotten dreams. Most will never succeed. They will struggle, they will fail, they will blame others, and they will repeat the same pattern. But those who persevere, those who dare to ask themselves deeper questions, find something far more precious than mere relief. They rediscover themselves. This video does not claim to offer a miracle cure. It's a mirror that reveals the aspects of yourself you've been avoiding. If you can face them, even for a moment, you can begin to write a new story. Join me, because in the next part, we'll explore in more depth the method Jung uses to help people like you break this cycle, and ultimately you'll discover the hidden truth that can change everything. If you're ready to see it, don't let your demons take over. Simply turn the page. The breakthrough is closer than you think. If you've made it this far, you're already different. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort, never asking themselves what truly motivates their desires. Jung called this possession. When an inner force seems to take control and you let it, you say, "I don't want to do this," but your hands, your mind, your habits continue to act. It's as if you're a stranger in your own skin. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself you wouldn't do it again, only to fall back into the same habit, as if swept away by an invisible current? The philosopher Epictetus wrote, "No one is free unless they are master of themselves." But Jung's genius lay in his demonstration that self-mastery is not about fighting against the current, but about learning to decipher the underlying currents. Addiction is not just an act but a ritual, a scenario that plays out when we feel lost, alone, or overwhelmed. And here's the secret most people don't know. Every ritual holds a meaning. Every habit is a clue. We don't turn to cigarettes, alcohol, or social media without a reason. There's always a trigger, an event, a feeling, a thought that makes the world seem too intense or too superficial. Maybe it's the stress after work. Maybe it's the silence before falling asleep. Maybe it's the feeling of seeing someone else succeed while we feel like we're falling behind. Desire doesn't present itself as a command, but as a comfort. It whispers, "Let's not feel this now. Let's forget it. Let's disappear." But what if, for just a moment, you didn't run away? What if you turned around and faced desire as Jung would have, asking it, "Why are you here?" The answer might surprise you. Perhaps it's not the thing itself, but the feeling you're trying to avoid. Perhaps it's loneliness. Perhaps it's the fear of not being good enough. Perhaps it's the echo of a still raw childhood wound. Philosophy teaches us to ask questions, even when the answers hurt. Psychology gives us the courage to face discomfort until it reveals what we need to know. You've heard it 1,000 times. Be disciplined. Use your willpower. But no one reveals the real secret. Willpower has its limits. Every time you resist, you draw from a source that eventually runs dry. When you are tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, this source empties, and old patterns reappear. Jung compared the unconscious to a vast ocean. Your conscious will is like a small boat. If you simply row harder, you won't get anywhere. But if you learn to read the waves, if you anticipate the storms, you'll navigate with much less difficulty. That's the true art, learning to recognize your patterns without judging them. Perceiving desire not as failure, but as information. Information about what's missing. Information about what you truly desire. Jung believed in the power of names. What you can name, you can master. The next time this urge arises, instead of suppressing it, take a moment to name it. It's anguish. It's loneliness. It's the part of me seeking comfort. It may seem simple, even naive, but naming it allows the desire to emerge from the shadows and into the light. The clearer you understand, the less power it will have over you. When you can say, "I know why you're here," you'll begin to change the narrative. This is where philosophy and psychology converge. The goal isn't to annihilate desire, but to integrate the part of yourself that, through this desire, is asking for help. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to fully accept yourself, to accept desire not as an enemy, but as the voice of a wounded part of yourself, is to truly begin the healing process." How do you do this? It all starts with honesty. When you feel this urge, don't let yourself be distracted. Don't blame yourself. Instead, ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What pain have I refused to feel? What hope have I long since given up on? You may feel fear, sadness, or even anger. That's normal. Most people give up at this point. They tell themselves it's too difficult, but every time you confront your shadow self, you regain a little strength. You won't be free overnight, but every time you become aware of your desires, you break free from your chains. Every moment of curiosity is a victory over the traditional pattern. Philosophy invites us to embrace the discomfort of uncertainty, to remain in the unknown, and to trust in the emergence of the new. Jungian psychology is an invitation to patience. Change doesn't happen suddenly, but each realization, each sincere question sows a seed for the future. By learning to listen, not to flee, not to numb ourselves, not to be distracted, we begin to discover a new inner voice, a wiser voice, a voice that doesn't need to shout or threaten, a voice that says, "I see you, I know you're suffering, but you no longer need to run away. You can stay." This is the beginning of self-destruction. This is what Jung called individuation, the path to wholeness, not by eliminating the parts of ourselves that displease us, but by welcoming them into our lives. Most people will never know this feeling. They will spend their lives searching for relief without ever learning from it. But you, by staying, are already on the road less traveled. Perhaps you don't feel free yet. That's normal. Freedom isn't acquired instantly. It's a journey. It's the fruit of 1,000 small acts of courage. 1,000 moments when you face the pain instead of running from it. The journey continues. In the next part, you'll discover the final step. How to use the energy of your desires as fuel for transformation, not self-destruction. You'll also discover the truth Jung reserved for his bravest students, a truth that makes addiction a guide, not a curse. Don't miss this ultimate lesson, because it changes everything. The alchemy of desire. You've come this far. Overcoming difficult questions and exploring the deepest recesses of your mind. Most would have given up already, frightened by discomfort or the fear of powerlessness. But you've stayed, and that in itself is significant. It means you're not just seeking relief. You yearn for transformation. Carl Jung didn't believe in shortcuts. He believed in alchemy. He conceived of life as a process of transforming lead into gold, not by rejecting what is dark or heavy, but by melting it, understanding it, and allowing your consciousness to transform it. Think about the impulse, the desire, the pull toward your old habits. Every time it manifests, it's like a spark full of energy, overflowing with potential. Most people waste this energy fighting it, running from it, numbing it, or being ashamed of it. But what if you learn to harness that spark instead of trying to extinguish it? Alchemists believe that any poison can be transformed into a remedy if you know the secret. Jung believed that your desire, your addiction, is the raw material from which you can forge your new self. Transform poison into strength. It all begins with a change of attitude. Instead of asking yourself, "How can I get rid of this feeling?" to ask yourself, "What can I learn from it? How can I channel its energy?" Desire is a form of energy. It's the mind's way of expressing a lack. Things need to move. When the urge strikes, don't waste it. Channel it. If you feel like smoking, take the opportunity to take a deep breath. Move around, write down your thoughts, create something, even a simple, sincere sentence about how you feel. This is the difference between unconscious repetition and conscious transformation. You can't always prevent the impulse from arising, but you can choose how to manage it. Over time, this practice redefines your relationship with yourself. Jung observed that people who overcame an addiction didn't simply abandon it. They replaced one ritual with another, one habit with something more meaningful. You need new rituals, new ways to channel the energy that once fueled your desires. If you used to give in to your impulses when stressed, try stopping and grounding yourself in the present. If you used to numb your mind before sleeping, try writing in a journal the truth you're most afraid to admit. If you feel like running away from discomfort, try facing it for 60 seconds, identifying it, breathing deeply, and allowing yourself to fully experience it. Small mindful rituals can transform the shadow into your true self. Jung believed that the goal of life is individuation, the process of achieving wholeness through the integration of all the lost, rejected or feared parts of yourself. Addiction reveals where the wounds lie, but also where the greatest energy resides. The shadow is not your enemy. This is the guide to your hidden potential. Each time you stop and face your desire, you regain a little more power. You become less divided, more unified, more yourself, and little by little your identity transforms. You are no longer the addict, the hopeless case, the one incapable of change. You become the observer, the one who chooses, the alchemist, someone capable of enduring pain, desire, and even fear, and continuing to move forward with determination. A new identity. You might be wondering, how do I know if I'm really changing? The answer isn't dramatic. It's subtle. You feel the voice of shame fading. You notice you no longer need to hide from yourself as much. We realize that we need to stop, reflect, and choose once, then again. We begin to trust ourselves, and that trust grows little by little. Most people measure change by big wins or perfect streaks, but true transformation, according to Jung, is measured by the willingness to be honest with ourselves day after day, no matter what. The hidden reward. Herein lies the unexpected reward. Overcoming addiction isn't simply about breaking a habit, but about reconnecting with yourself. You then discover an unsuspected strength, an unsuspected wisdom, and an unsuspected capacity to overcome discomfort. You stop seeing yourself as broken. You begin to see yourself as courageous. Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That is your truth. Now, one last challenge. If you have made it this far, you have already proven that you are different from most people. You are ready to embrace your aspirations with curiosity, your shadow self with compassion, and your wounds with the will to heal. So here's the final step. Every time this craving arises, consider it a signal, a reminder to reconnect with your inner self. Ask yourself, what do I truly need right now? What does my soul yearn for? Connection, truth, meaning, rest. Find a simple and sincere way to offer it to yourself. Each time you will weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. Addiction wants you to believe you're trapped forever. That's a lie. The truth is, you change every day, and every small step toward awareness is a victory. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to persevere. If you've made it this far, you didn't just watch a video. You're doing the work most people avoid their whole lives. Hold on, because as Jung knew, the freedom you seek has always been waiting for you, just beneath the shadows, at the very heart of desire, just beyond fear. You will never again let addiction win. Never again.